Hello, welcome back to the channel, and if you watch my previous video on my review of my solar generation in February, which I'll just link up here, you would have seen that my current British gas tariff, which is a dual fuel tariff for both import of electricity, export of electricity as well as gas, is coming to the end at the end of March, and I fixed on that tariff 2.5 years ago, which has been quite useful because it means that I haven't actually been affected by the energy crisis. So that tariff meant that I was paying for my electricity 23p a day standing charge and about 19p per kilowatt hour of import. And since December I've been on their export tariff as well, which has been paying 15p. However, things have changed now, and I've been looking at a new tariff. When I originally had that British gas tariff, I wasn't even considering solar panels and a battery system. Now I do have a solar panel and battery system, so I've been looking to change my provider to maximise my return on my solar panels and also just generally be more green. So in my previous video I put out as a message saying if anybody has an Octopus referral code, whoever commented first on that video I would use that code, because I was having looked around all the other energy suppliers, Octopus was the one that I was likely to go to, but I hadn't decided on the tariff. So I want to thank Liz Jenkins 935, who was the first to comment with her referral code, which is the Kind Cub one. So thank you for that comment. I have used that tariff, and I'm now going through the joining up to Octopus Energy. So I did that just under a week ago. It was last Saturday. I'm filming this on Friday the 8th. So my Octopus tariff won't kick in until the 1st of April. But with Octopus, there are a number of tariffs they offer. So when you sign up, it looks like you have to go on to their standard tariff, which I've gone for a variable rate tariff, because then I'll move on to something like Octopus Go or Flux or Agile after a month, when you can switch to one of their electricity tariffs in those forms. So the question is, which one is best for me? So I've been doing a little bit of maths, which I'd like to share with you, just to go over the figures that I've been thinking of, and some people have been commenting asking which one I'm likely to go with. I should also point out that in April, the price cap guarantee is set to fall by about 10 or 12%, which will take the unit price from about 28p currently down to about 25p, 24p. And also the predictions is it's going to fall again in July. So when trying to do my calculations for this, it's quite difficult to predict the future when you have variables like that. So what I've done is I've taken my energy generation and usage from last year. So last year, our solar panels, so that 4.6 kilowatt array on the roof, generated 4,812 kilowatt hours. And of that, and the amount of electricity we used in the house, bear in mind we have gas, central heating and hob, was 2,343. We exported back to the grid 2,951, so we exported more than we actually use. So of that 2,343, 366 was imported from the grid, so that was mainly during the winter, and 1,977 was self-use. So this is energy we generate ourselves, store in a battery, or used in real time. So that was our own electricity. So I've taken these numbers to just apply some of the tariff details to it. So with the standard tariff, so that's what I'll be moving on to in April initially, the import for that is 28.71 pence per kilowatt hour. And I can also sign up to the Octopus export tariff, which is the same as British Gas, paying 15p. So that means that if I had to import 366 kilowatts again this year, like last year, assuming nothing changes, which is the only assumption I can currently make, that would cost me £105 and 2p. So that's excluding the standing charge. So I can't do anything about standing charges, so I'm just purely looking from the cost of import. For the seg though, what I would end up with is paying that 15p on that 2,950-ish. That would generate me £442 and 67p. So if I take my seg, that cost of £105 away from that £442, it means overall we'll be having a payback on my solar panels of about £337 and 65p. Or that would be the cost of having the overall savings of having this tariff. Obviously, if you've watched my previous videos, I've been applying 19p to every kilowatt hour I've used myself and use that to generate my savings. I'm not taking that into account in this. And obviously for future videos when I do my monthly recap, it's going to be quite difficult to work that out. So I'll probably just use my price cap as the savings amount there. Obviously that will stay the same for no matter what tariff I'm on. Right, so Go gets a lot of advertisement, I suppose, amongst people who have EVs, solar panels and batteries. So things like, is it the EV puzzle? I think he's on Go. I think Electric Vehicle Man up in Yorkshire, he's on Go as well. So you see a lot of the Go tariffs. And I do have an electric vehicle, but I can't charge from home. So, because I've got on-road parking. And I did actually, in a previous video, what does Octopus need to be actually for you to go onto the Go tariff. So I've done the maths to see if I did go onto the Go tariff, what I would save in my electricity. So for Go, you get a period of 4 hours during the night between about 12:30 and 4:30, where the import rate is 9p. During the rest of the day, it's 30.5p. However, the export, you have to go on their export light tariff, which only pays 8p for export. And as you've seen, we do a lot of exporting. So what I've assumed is that I could charge my battery, and basically that would cover 60%. If I discharge my battery throughout the day, it would cover about 60% of my daily usage. So I've applied that 60% to my import, which was 365, and I've times that by the 9p, and that comes up as £19 and 75p. That remaining 40% would be at the normal daytime rate of 30p. So I've times that 365 by 40% and then times it by 30, and that comes to £44 and 65p. So in total, the amount of money I'll be paying to Octopus Energy for import would be estimated at about £65, which is actually similar to what I'm paid to British Gas last year. However, because of that lower seg rate, my total seg money in would be £236, which means that my total money in from Octopus Energy would only be £171. That compares to £337 if I just stayed on my variable tariff, which is coming in April. So it doesn't make sense for me to move to Octopus Go. Another tariff they offer is Flux. So in this one you have 3 different rates throughout the day. So through the majority of the day you are paying 28p per kilowatt hour of import, which is the same as the standard tariff. However, the export is 17.71p, so that's 2.71p more than the normal export tariff. However, during 3 hours in the night, the import rate is only £17.22p, and the export is 6.22p. But don't have to worry too much of that because I wouldn't be exporting in the night anyway. And then they have an expensive 3 hours in between sort of 4 and 7 p.m, where it's 40p for import and 29p for export. So what I did is carry out a similar analysis to what I did with Go. So I said that about 60% of my import for the year, so would be at that cheap rate during the night where I could charge the battery, which would amount to £37-ish. Yeah, £37.80. And then about 30% would be at the daytime rate of the 28p, so that would add another £31 to my bill. And then probably about 10% would be at that very high rate. Ideally, I would probably charge the battery during the daytime rate if I needed to re-top up to cover those 3 hours. But so hopefully I could avoid that altogether. But in the worst case scenario, let's say 10%. So that adds another £14.70. So it means the total I'll be paying to Octopus Energy would be £84, which doesn't seem too bad. It's slap bang in the middle of the Go and the standard tariff. However, this is where the export becomes a deciding factor. Because if I exported, say, 90% of my energy, but I exported at that rate of 17p, or 17.71p, that would generate £470 for me. If I exported the other 10% during that really high period base, which is probably very realistic in summer when we do have sun into the evening and we're still exporting, so that probably does amount to about 10% of our export, it would be another £86, which means our total seg payment for the year would be £556. So again, if we take that away from the £84, it means that we are £472 up on the Flux tariff compared to £171 on the Go tariff, compared to £337 on the standard tariff. So Flux looks like the way to go. What I haven't looked at in my analysis so far is things like the Agile tariff, or Agile Intelligence, or Flux Intelligent. I can't go on Flux Intelligent anyway because I don't have a compatible battery and inverter. I think you have to go with Give Energy for those, but apparently so it's still in their beta phase. So I can't look at Flux. Agile is just a nightmare to model, to try and work it out, because the prices are changing every 30 minutes. You need to really know about how much you're exporting at different periods of the day, how much you're using at different periods of the day, and also there's a yearly change as well, so I haven't even attempted to go into that. Probably could do it, but yeah, it's going to be complicated. So yeah, that's what my thinking is. It looks like I'm probably going to go with Flux. Obviously as things change, I am looking at like heat pump options, in which case then the Go might become more viable as you charge your batteries more, but I'd have to get another battery as well to power the heat pump at that cheap period of the night. But then having a heat pump also opens you up to what's known as the cozy tariff. So those are other things to consider. But I think initially I'm going to move on to Flux. Just to finish this video, if the Octopus do change all their tariffs by, which they will have to, when the new price cap comes in at the beginning of April, then suddenly the maths changes a little bit, but not too much, because it'll be cheaper to import, so it'll be about 10% cheaper to import, but you also lose about 10% on your seg as well. So it means that Go would then generate me about £155 a year instead of £171 if both their export and their import tariffs drop by 10%. For the standard tariff, that would generate me £345. What I've done for that one is not reduce the 15p down to 13.5p, because I think they'll still keep that export tariff at 15 pence. And for the Flux, if everything changes, I would still be at 425, so it's still the best option. So yeah, those are things to look forward to in the future. Anyway, thank you for watching the video. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, please do, and I'll see you in another video very soon.